service provider, probably an internet service provider. If maybe the government would have done this one would have survived. This one otherwise would survive. We're together, right? Sorry? Sending things, right? So, courier. So they are doing courier service, right? Yeah, so that is probably an intervention that is helping now to protect this one. This, we can call it an aided business. Yoga and variety. Somebody who from Nigeria, I think he is going to be the courier, so that at least he should still survive. So that is one better intervention. So this thing of coming grace, I'm not sure about it. Next time, I will say, I want to try to help us some way, because not everybody we might be able. Before we might be able, everybody knows how to deal with it to me. One not able to just so much better way is not good. So please next time, please work on that. I'm not only speaking to suggest about all of you. Let's work on this one, please. And let's take it. Alright, so the protection of this sunrise and aging industry, that is one reason why we do this. Another is the protection of non-renewable commodities. Non-renewable commodities. One of those commodities is what we call hydrocarbons. When we are talking about hydrocarbons are minerals that we extract from the ground, and at the end of the day, they give us what we call fossil fuels. We know fossil fuels, we're talking about fuels like petrol, diesel, and so on and so forth, right? So these ones are extracted from the hydrocarbons. These hydrocarbons are the materials that are extracted from the ground. They are extracted from the ground and they produce this what we call fossil fuels. After refinery and some other processes have taken place. Now, you find that those ones are non-renewable. Those hydrocarbons are always non-renewable. Now, if you are just extracting them anyhow, without any protection, they won't last. Within a short period of time, they will get extinct. And once they get extinct, what about the succeeding generations? What are they going to use? They will use nothing. Why? Because you have exhausted all of them. So, at times an economy may choose to limit the extraction of such kind of goods from the ground. You know, we are extracting, of course, but we must have a limit. We should not go beyond this limit, probably a year. The reason is just to make sure that some of those materials are being preserved for future generations. So, again, that is the case. For example, countries looking to depend on long-term oil exports like Arabic nations, reducing short-term performance by production levels is one tool used to preserve energy. We have a group of countries that is responsible for production and export of oil. So we have oil producers and exporters in this world. Those countries, they have an alliance. They formed their own alliance, their own group. Do you remember the name of that alliance? The alliance of countries that produce and export petroleum products. What's the way? A group of countries, they formed an alliance. It's a group of countries that produce oil and export. How do you say the thing? Norma doesn't produce oil. And Mara doesn't produce oil. Norma is Mara. Those are oil producers. We don't know how many countries they are. Of course, in Africa here we have Angola that produces oil, we have Nigeria, we have I think Egypt. together. They are this alliance. What do you call that alliance? Unless you are saying most of the way you know, please pick it up yourself. No. Is that one really the one that you're thinking? You know what? Probably you're right. You know what? You have something. I will not say anything up until you say it now. You see this one? Oil producing iron. Do people have this in Okay, yes. That is oil producing and exporting countries. And when those countries that produce and export probably would have figured out this one. So, this is an alliance of oil producers world over, oil producers and exporters. So these people, they basically control the production of oil and of course the exports of oil globally. Apart from controlling since they are controlling the production and the exportation, automatically they also control the oil prices globally. So at times the oil prices are dependent on decisions by OPEC. Of course, there are a number of factors that are leading to the changes in petroleum prices. But at some point, it is the OPEC that is responsible. So, this OPEC can say, let us release so much volumes of oil onto the market, or we should reduce the volumes of oil that we release into the market. So, we assume that this OPEC decides to release into the market, let's say, 2 million liters of oil. At least 2 million liters of oil. If they produce 2 million liters of petrol, coming out of oil anyway. Then the next day, they say, today I think we should release 5 million. Let's say 5 million. It means this time around, when they are releasing 5 million, it means the supply will be the highest in the market as compared to the previous day. The previous day it was only 2 million, but today it is 5 million. So it means today the supply is too much. Since the supply is too much, definitely the prices are likely going to go down. See, now the other day, the third day, they will say, let us release only 1 million liters. What will happen now? The prices will go high because now there is less supply and demand is high. So in this way, these people they control the oil prices by deciding let us release so much or we should not release so much. Of course, this OPEC at times they use oil as a weapon to advance their political agendas globally. When you're saying a weapon to advance their political agendas, it means they can use oil that they can use this one. In other words, they use this petrol in the form of what we call petrodollar. They call it petrodollar. So they can use this petrodollar as a weapon to advance their political agenda globally. What do they do? Those countries, most of them, they are Arabic countries. Libya, Saudi Arabia, whatever you name them, Syria, and so on and so forth. Now, whenever there are serious political issues, particularly these people, they can dictate things. They can say, okay, you know what? to finish with that one, in order to protect those ones, those non-renewable resources, that's why organizations like OPEC, they always put measures and restrictions to make sure that at least their resources are protected for future generations. Now, after we saw this one, we proceeded to look at the trading agreement. Because previously we looked at trade policies, but now there came trade agreements. Now, a trade agreement and the trade policy are two different things. I know you know a trade policy, but a trade agreement is a different thing altogether. Is anybody who can quickly give us the difference between the two as we proceed? And probably one can do this in a single sentence. That a trade policy is ABCD and a trade agreement is this and that. What is the best? You will discuss this at length, so probably. I'm not so sure if this lady will also teach, but we will teach. So, what's the difference between a trade agreement and a trade policy? Yeah, no, we discussed this one repeatedly with us that day. And actually that day we had a very serious discussion. We did, of course. Okay, you remind me where did we go? Because maybe I may be wrong, but I know what this one. We did, right? Forms of
Types.
Types of trade. Types of trade. I don't think we discussed types of trade. If you tell me types of trade agreement, what is trade? Just a minute.
Okay, let's put it this way. Iwewe umeshi Mungu wangu ni mambo ingani?
Yes, madam. You were saying something.
Yes.
Is that right? Okay, yes. Yeah, you were the man. You said it would be
Let's measure and the creation. While trade agreement is a legal binding agreement between countries concerning trade on the actions to be taken.
Okay. Okay, you want a good answer. Or maybe you want to present it differently.
No, but it's different thing.
It's different thing. No, it's different thing. I don't think the way she has put it is how it's supposed to be. I don't think so. So, yeah, say something about it.
Second,
Yes.
it's a structure. Contractual agreement between states. Well,
trade relations with others. This is our position, this is our stance. If you go on the technology from around the things bank are not there. So then that stance is made up of those regulations, rules, practices, and all that. So a policy is a stance or a position stands for and the government stance or position. Whereas an agreement, we say, is a contractual arrangement between countries. It's a contractual arrangement between countries, and this is how we should be dealing with each other. So when the two parties are coming in to come up with this contractual arrangement, each one of them, they have their own positions. Each one of them, they have their own policies. So a trade policy is another one, and agreement is another one. Now, these trade agreements always come into three types. We have unilateral trade agreement, bilateral trade agreement, and multilateral. Just like as we were looking at the policies. Yes, say something. Three. Sorry? Policies or trade agreements? Yes. Trade agreement, not policy, trade agreement. So,
You think they are
bilateral. Yeah. Of course, there is unilateral. There is unilateral trade agreement, bilateral trade agreement, and multilateral trade agreement. You see? That's the goodness of having these two ladies absent. Because now we are doing a recap of what we discussed and we are correcting each other on that one, which is a plus to us. So, these trade agreements are the arrangements, as I say, contractual arrangements that countries will always sign between the two countries, that's bilateral, or multilateral among countries in a group. Now, what is the impact of those trade agreements? Those free trade agreements, these trade agreements are free trade agreements. Now, what are the benefits of these free trade agreements or the positive impact of these free trade agreements? These free trade agreements are always impactful and very important and beneficial to many parties. One, the sellers, even the buyers, the exporters or the importers. What are the advantages of these free trade agreements from the part of the importers? These are from the part of the importers. They are always important. Why? Because they provide a market for their products. They always provide a market for their products, thereby expanding their revenues and in the end improving their economies. Even in the but you should have a pain and support. Alright, so we are saying from the part of the importer, from the part of the exporter, it provides a market for them. Now, having a market, it means they will get in more revenue. More revenue translates to the economic expansion and economic growth. Whereas from the part of the importers, it gives them access to a variety of goods. Now, since there are always a variety of goods on the market, those in the importing countries, at least they have access to this one, and they can enjoy diversity. At the same time, since there are always many sellers on the market, since sellers are coming from different countries, the prices tend to be lower. So there are always numerous benefits as they are. That's the benefits of trade agreements. However, though we can see those advantages, there are also very many disadvantages. One of it is that it makes those less successful companies to always fail or go out of business. I think this is true and is of course obvious. So these free trade agreements, they have this kind of disadvantage. Why? Because when we are saying a free trade zone or a free trade area. It means in your area, traders from elsewhere or companies from elsewhere, they are at liberty to come in and do whatever they wish. So that one makes those that are less successful in that market to go out of business. They can't compete with others. They fail. Another challenge that comes along with free trade agreements is that they are responsible for job outsourcing. They are responsible for job outsourcing. A Malawi-based company, since there are always less restrictions, can choose to go and start operating elsewhere across the border, taking advantage of the advantages that are there, or taking advantage of the benefits that are there. Say the cheap labor outside, or availability of raw materials, and so on and so forth. Now, because of that, they may choose to relocate their operations to that particular country, since there are less restrictions. Now, what happens to the job market here? It means the jobs will be created that side. Instead of creating jobs here, the jobs will be created the other side. Why? Because they have moved their operations and they are located that side. So that becomes a disadvantage to this home country or this kind of origin. Because now, this kind of origin will now be turned into a market, a mere market for the products that are produced elsewhere. Yet the company that is producing there originated from right here. So the problem is, even if they turn this territory into a market, a mere market, how are people going to buy the products if they do not have the buying power or they do not have money? Yes, they do not have money because they are jobless. The jobs have been transferred elsewhere. So this one becomes a problem. Another challenge is the safety of intellectual property. The safety of intellectual property. So, what is an intellectual property? What is an intellectual property? An intellectual property is an innovation or a creation that is whose creator has the right to legally protect that property or that innovation. An intellectual property is an innovation or a creation whose creator has the right to legally protect that one. When you are creating something or when you are innovating something, it first of all comes from your brain. It comes from your brain. It's like this. No other person who has ever created that one. You are the first person to create it. So since you are the first person to create it, you have every right to protect it or safeguard it, so that no other person, no other unauthorized person should use that innovation for that creation. So that one will be an intellectual property. So with free trade agreement, people are always at liberty to go elsewhere and do whatever they can. The chances of having these properties stolen are always very high because the enforcement of the laws that protect intellectual property normally is always weak. That's the enforcement. So it is always difficult to enforce it that way. So that becomes another disadvantage of free trade agreements. And some of the lands why? Because you are able to work with people from different parts of the world freely. And this explains why the mobile phone technology is now dominated by people from the Far East, the Koreans, the Chinese, the Japanese, and so on and so forth. Unlike the Westerners. Yes, that technology originated from the West, from Western countries. But now it's being now dominated by those in the East. Thanks to the safety of intellectual property. Those guys, they manage to steal the intellectual property and they are using on their own. much of the employment is always dependent on agricultural activities. In Malawi here, almost 80% of those people that are employed in agro-related activities. So employment in this case, not necessarily being employed at a farm to do some other things, to manual work and so on and so forth, but still even employing yourself. When you are plowing in your field, in your garden, it's like you are engaged in an agricultural activity. So it's like you are employed in that agricultural activity. So almost 80% of the Malawian workforce is believed to be engaged in agricultural activities, directly or indirectly. Now, with the crowding out of domestic industry, with the coming in of foreign companies or organizations that are also producing foodstuffs or food items and so on and so forth, it is always very, very difficult for those small farm holdings to survive the heat or to survive the competition. Mind you, the retail outlets that we have, most of these shops that sell food items, they are dependent on the farmers to supply them. They are dependent on the growers around the country to supply them, either with vegetables, fruits, cereals, or whatsoever. Now, with the coming in of multinational companies, most of them are multinational farming organizations. They are always very strong and they always overpower the smaller ones. So the smaller ones are always crowded out, or else they are always overpowered, that they cannot survive. Now, their failure, here we're talking about agriculture. The failure of these small farms will always force those people who are dependent on these farms for employment to go elsewhere and look for employment. Probably they will go to the cities to look for employment. And in the cities, probably the jobs are not there. What follows? Poverty, crimes, prostitution, and all those other things. Why? Because these people previously they were in the village, but their farms collapsed. Now they have to locate elsewhere. How and why did their farms collapse? They collapsed because of the coming in of mega farms from elsewhere, or the producers from elsewhere who are flooding the market with their produce. Normally, with free trade agreements, there are always high chances of poor working conditions. Poor working conditions in industries and in many workplaces are always rampant. We have heard stories of the Chinese, the Indian, and some of these investors paying very less, paying peanuts to their workers and subjecting them to long hours of working. At times even locking them in those buildings where they are working for long hours. So that's another type of exploitation. That hasn't been regarded as exploitation. So as part of poor working conditions. So most of these ones are multinationals who always come to your country to do whatever they know best. They are always fond of exploiting the local workers. So that is their disadvantage. And in that situation, most of the time, the victims are women and children. Groups that are very vulnerable to many things. Another challenge that is there, or disadvantage, is the reduction in tax revenue. Reduction in tax revenue. Now, let's do one thing. They are saying reduction in tax revenue, right? What are we discussing? We are discussing the disadvantage of free trade agreements, right? Free trade agreements. Now, why are we saying free trade agreements reduce tax revenues? How? And why are we saying this? Free trade agreement ama revenue. So that is the purpose for the actually I've studied it. I just have studied it. So I don't want to that is shyness. That one should go. But have we understood the concept of free trade agreement? We have understood it, right? Okay. Such agreements, what are some of the incentives that are attached to those agreements? Probably we should start from there. What are some of the incentives that are attached to free trade agreements? So that at least we will take it from there, then we can tackle the question it was. Or probably, while we were thinking of attacking that question, somebody should assist you in highlighting those incentives that are attached to free trade agreements. What are some of the incentives as a risk? So you assist her, then she can tackle that question. See, that's it, we are here.
No.
Nothing, we talked about this. We talked about this.
We just talked about the meaning.
Anyway, think. What are the incentives that are attached to free trade agreements? You were saying something about the incentives. Yeah, of course. Yeah, no, you there. Modest will talk about questions. That was two times. Now here I'm looking at those incentives that are attached to free trade agreements, FTA.
Agricultural machinery, you will be having no taxes. So what can reduce the tax from tax as the government will be getting
Okay. So what is the incentive there from the back of the reporter?
to the back of the reporter?
What is the incentive there?
No tax. Yeah.
Oh, that's holiday.
Yeah.
Okay. People, let's look at this. Say this. Don't shun away when you have something. I know you would have said this, but you never wanted to. You would have said this, but you never wanted to. You see? But what we always ask for is participation of all of us, right? When you're saying an incentive is always no much better. Cannot give you no much better. For whatever better, if you people are going to perform good, I'm going to give you incentives. Muna very often person. Kabla muna people is the match. I can earn much from you. Those are incentives to move on. Probably maybe that way was coming as something like a broad view. So when you're saying an incentive, the Jolo is no much better, but you do not know what you give. So when it comes to free trade agreements, why are they called free trade? It means now the incentives that people get are the removal of barriers, the removal of taxes, the removal of some tariffs. Those are the incentives. Then the now, the incentives are the removal of barriers, the removal of taxes, the removal of tariffs. Definitely we have answered that question, because if people are not paying the taxes and the tariffs, the government is going to lose out. The government is not going to get the revenue. Simple as it is. We have to get a lot of it. So next time when you say those incentives, it means mapindu amena kama pesa kwa mtu na wani. Ndio mapindu hadi hiske ingine la kambi ni sare za visomo. Kabla mabaya ya yeye kuna kutoa zaidi kwa business sio ndani lazima atawe za yote. That is a benefit or an incentive in other ways you can say a benefit. Some benefits that you get from something else. Let us work hard. They are going to be given some benefits at the end of the service. What are the benefits? They are going to add some marks on us. Those are the benefits. Those are the incentives. So that is it. So what is the advantage of this? We are together, right? Yeah. Now the government loses out because due to the incentives that are enjoyed by the importers, the government loses out. Now only the government that are well off, or the economy that are well off, they still survive. Because even if they put in place this national holiday, those governments still make money. Those governments will still run, even if people do not pay those kind of taxes. But we are not saying in free trade agreements, then people totally do not pay taxes. That's not it. We are not saying people do not totally pay the tariffs at all. They do, but at least they are minimizing to a certain extent. Kuliko kwa namna amakuzo na free trade agreement, some of the research you see mamka do free agenda. That's not what we are saying. But there is always reduction based on the agreement, and it depends on product to product or good to goods, and of course country to country. There can be some other goods that, depending on the agreement that is there between you and the other country, you say no, it's this is the pattern. Always look for something as very. I think I will have to come very. Put so much percentage just to ease the pressures that are out there that are experienced by the importers or exporters. So, but at the end of the day, weaker economies like our own always suffer because we are so much dependent on such kind of taxes. So, if you say there is a free trade agreement between Malawi and South Africa, it is Malawi that is going to lose because it is Malawi as well. Where South Africa is a country that is well off economically, so at least they will still do better. Now, finally, another disadvantage is degradation of natural resources. The degradation of natural resources. Emerging market countries often do not have many environmental protections. So, free trade leads to the degradation of timber, minerals, and other natural resources. Globally, we have two major forests that are considered to be significant enough or significant factors in taking care of the world's climatic conditions. When it comes to rainfall patterns, those two major forests are responsible for actively controlling the climatic conditions, climatic patterns, rainfall patterns, and so on and so forth. Those forests, we have Amazon rainforest. I think that is in South America. We have Amazon there along the Amazon River. Then in Africa here we have Congo Basin, Congo rainforest. We call it Congo rainforest. So that rainforest is along the river Congo, and yes, in DRC and some other countries around there. So these two forests that I mentioned are very huge and very thick, with a number of natural trees, the animals, and so on and so forth. And those two areas, they always receive the rain throughout the year. There is no winter, there is no summer, there is no dry season in the Amazon area, and of course in the Congo area. So those is one of those, not only those forests, but at least they contribute a lot. Now, what is happening to those forests right now? With the coming in of this great trade, globalization, and all those things, the Chinese and some other countries that are so much aggressive, they have invaded those forests. They have invaded Amazon forest, they have invaded Congo forest, and they are cutting trees like nobody's business. And those forests are being depleted, so to say. Now, the danger is, if those are responsible for at least balancing the climatic pattern globally, what will happen once those forests have been depleted completely? It will be catastrophic to the global. So, those issues of climate change, global warming, and other things right now are being defeated. The efforts to fight climate change and environmental degradation are being defeated by these very things we call globalization and free trade whatsoever. Because free trade and globalization are encouraging traders, business people, exploiters, manufacturers to go elsewhere and do whatever they want. In the process, they are debating this one. Now, the disadvantage comes to less developed countries. Why? Because most of the time we do not have the controlling measures, we don't have the laws to protect our natural resources wherever we are. So those people, they come all the way from elsewhere and they start exploiting. Why? Because we do not have the mechanisms in place to protect ourselves. So degradation of natural resources is another disadvantage of free trade agreements. So did I tell you this one? Oh, anyway, let me just send you the probably I changed. If I send you it's okay. Let me just send you the Google. Please, I've sent you this one. Please share on the group. Where's my paper? Let's go it. And I think again, this is best I will send it. Yeah, in the next 15 minutes or so.
Mama. Auditing and budgeting. Audit practice and performance review budgeting. Choose the name of international supplier. Choose the name of Jumani za Wednesday.